Families demand justice on International Day of Victims of Enforced Disappearances. UN to dispatch fact-finding mission to Bangladesh. Tariq Rahman vows to prevent disappearances. Flood death toll rises to 54. 2 million children at risk as worst floods, says UNICEF. Assalamu alaikum, this is Afra Anjum welcoming you all to Evening News. You have just heard the Crown Cement headlines. Now let's move on to the details. Her younger brother has been missing for 11 years, said Rehana Akhtar Munni, sister of missing student leader Selim Reza Pintu, who was the president of Chhatrodal's Shutrapur unit. She said Pintu was taken away by men 11 years ago who claimed they were from the administration. They were all armed. For the past 11 years, the families of enforced disappearances like Rehana had no joy or festivities. They asked who gave Sheikh Hasina the audacity to forcibly disappear the independent citizens of Bangladesh. They repeatedly demanded the hanging of former Prime Minister. Family members and relatives of those who were disappeared and forcibly taken away by the law enforcers during the Awami League regime held a human chain in front of the central Shahid Minar this morning to mark the International Day of the Victims of Enforced Disappearances. This is the first time the family members of the enforced disappearance victims could gather in an open space to demand the return of their loved ones.
আমি আমার বাবাকে দেখতে চাই, আমি আমার বাবাকে ছুঁতে চাই। আমি এখনো সেই 11 বছর আগের মতো প্রতিটা মুহূর্ত ফোনের একটা অপেক্ষায় থাকি যে একটা ফোন কল বাজবে যে সোহেলকে ওখানে অমুক জায়গায় রেখে আসা হয়েছে। লোকেরা আমার বাবাকে তুলে নিয়ে যায়। আমি আমার বাবাকে ফেরত চাই, আমি আর কিছু চাই না, আমি আমার বাবাকে ফেরত চাই। বাবার হাত ধরে স্কুলে যেতে চাই। বাংলাদেশ দ্বিতীয়বার স্বাধীন হওয়ার পরও আমরা এখনো পুরোপুরি স্বাধীন হতে পারিনি।
The UN Human Rights Office has decided to send a fact-finding mission to Bangladesh to look into human rights violations committed from July 1st to 15th August. The office will deploy a fact-finding team to Bangladesh in the upcoming weeks with a view to reporting on violations and abuses perpetrated during the protests, analyzing the root causes and making recommendations to advance justice and accountability and for longer-term reforms. UN Human Rights Office spokesperson Ravina Shamdasani said in a statement on Friday. The decision comes following a visit of a team from August 22nd to 29th when they met different stakeholders including advisors in the interim government. BNP acting chairman Tariq Rahman has vowed to eliminate enforced disappearances, calling it a crime against humanity and a severe violation of basic human rights. He promised that no individual would go missing if BNP forms the government. The son of BNP chairperson Begum Khaleda Zia said if BNP is elected by the people and forms the government, they will adhere to the international guidelines on the prevention of disappearances as adopted by the United Nations, ensuring that no more individuals go missing in Bangladesh. Bangladesh signed the International Convention for the Protection of All Persons from Enforced Disappearance on Thursday, with the chief advisor of the interim government, Professor Dr. Mohammad signing on behalf of the country. Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif had a telephone conversation with the chief advisor Dr. Mohammad today and emphasized the need to revitalize relations between the two nations. There remains immense potential in expanding bilateral trade and economic cooperation, Pakistan Premier told Dr. Yunus, congratulating him on his assumption of the leadership of the interim government of Bangladesh. He expressed his best wishes to the chief advisor and hoped that the goodwill between the two South Asian countries would be translated into substantial cooperation for the benefit of their people. Dr. Yunus thanked Sharif for the phone call following his swearing-in after a student-led revolution. The chief advisor also thanked the Pakistan Premier for sending a message conveying sympathy and solidarity of the people of Pakistan for the flood victims of Bangladesh. Referring to changes in Bangladesh, Indian External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar said they will deal with the government of the day. At a book release program, he said they have to recognize that there are political changes, and political changes can be disruptive. Delhi also has to look for mutuality of interest, Jaishankar said.
He says Bangladesh is India locked and our northeast is Bangladesh locked. And that, in a way, is a kind of I would say a sort of a succinct summary of one important aspect of our relationship. Now, all of you are also aware that with Bangladesh, since its independence, our relationship has gone up and down. And it is natural that we will deal with the government of the day. But we also have to recognize that there are political changes and the political changes can be disruptive. And clearly here we have to look for mutuality of interest.
54 people, including 41 men, 6 women and 7 children, died in the devastating flood as deaths of 2 more people were reported today. Among the deaths, 14 were in Kumilla, 19 in Feni, 6 in Chattogram, 8 in Noakhali, 1 each in Khagrachori, Brahmanbaria, Molvi Bazar and Lokhipur, and 3 in Cox's Bazar district. Besides, 1 person remains missing in Molvi Bazar. Overall, flood situation has improved in Sylhet, Hobiganj and Chattogram. Train services in the eastern part of the railway network were halted for 4 days after extensive flooding submerged around 56 kilometers of railway tracks across various routes. The UNICEF has issued a stark warning that over 2 million children in eastern Bangladesh are at severe risk as devastating floods, the worst in 34 years, sweep through homes, schools and villages. The floods have affected a total of 5.6 million people in the region. Besides airing objective news and entertainment programs, most popular television channel in Bangladesh, NTV, is distributing relief materials among the flood-affected people in Kumilla and Molvi Bazar. The NTV relief team distributed packages full of essential commodities including rice, pulses and edible oil. NTV distributed relief materials to people who still remains disconnected with the mainland due to floodwater. After receiving the relief goods, the helpless villagers offered up thanks and expressed warm gratitude to NTV authorities.
আমরা মাল দিছেন খুব খুশি হইছি আমরা দোয়া করমু খাইয়া আমরা আপনারা দোয়া করব
আল্লাহ আপনারা খুশি করতা আল্লাহ শান্তি রাখতা রহমত দান করতা
Cricket. Due to a continuous rain, the first day of second test between Bangladesh and Pakistan in Rawalpindi have been called off. The decision was officially announced shortly after 12 p.m. local time. No toss could take place on the opening day. The weather forecast for the first day of this test was not favorable at all. Rain and wet outfield initially delayed the toss. Though the umpires scheduled a ground inspection, it couldn't take place due to the persistent rain. Bangladesh leads the series after winning the first test by 10 wickets. Before ending, let's have a look on the Crown Cement headlines once again. Families demand justice on International Day of Victims of Enforced Disappearances. Tariq Rahman vows to prevent disappearances if BNP forms government. Flood death toll rises to 54, 2 million children at risk as worst floods, says UNICEF. And that's all from the newsroom for now. To know updates, videos of this bulletin, visit our website www.ntvbd.com. Besides, visit our YouTube and verified Facebook page for updates over NTV's all popular programs and bulletins. Our next bulletin, Shundhar Khobor, will be aired in Bangla at 7:30 p.m. Thank you for being with us. Have a good time.